Everybody, welcome to My Other's Keeper. As you can see, I'm kind of sort of on my own at the moment. Sammy, life gets in the way when you've got kids. So Sammy has not yet stopped by, and we are going to be talking about all sorts of things, mostly to do with how to deal with life as it happens. Um, I should put my microphone over here so you can hear me. So, yes, we're going to be talking about life as it happens, how to deal with things, the words to call things. Um, for a lot of years, I was kind of backed up and I didn't know what exactly the words were for my emotions. My husband knew more than me, and that's unusual to have the man be the more emotionally plugged in person. Um, so I actually had to get word wheels, and these are two that I've downloaded, and I'll be sharing my screen with you about them. And they are very common problems that we all have. They're very difficult emotions to deal with, things like guilt, fear, anger, disgust, envy, being sad. Those aren't the happy go lucky easy things that we talk about all the time. And lo and behold, I told you we're going to be tackling some serious stuff. So I will get on with the get on with the what's the word I'm looking for, preamble, and then we'll get on with the show.
I'm my brother's keeper. I'm my sister's guide. Standing here together with nothing left to hide. We lift each other up when the world feels torn apart. We're keepers of the flame. We're the healers of the heart.
All right. So let's step right in it. Hey, Daniel, I'm glad you're here. Happy Thursday. Good to see ya. Um, I'd love it if you stuck around and chatted for a little while. That'd be really nice. Let's see, what else do we have here? So let's let's get in with it. Don't be afraid to open up. We're all safe here. We don't let awful, evil, terrible people in. Um, and it's someplace where if it happens that more comes out than you're comfortable with, I can make this private so that your personal issues don't get broadcast to the world. Because that's a scary thing. Or, on the other hand, if you have some things that you need to talk about, that you need an open ear, a shoulder to cry on, a knee for praying, give me a call, give me a text message, let me know, and I will get in touch with you, and we can do it completely off screen entirely. And yeah, that's definitely a way that I'm 100% able to support you and have you support me. So, some of the things I've been dealing with lately as I'm moving my feet underneath my chair. Um, about a month and a half ago, so maybe 2 months ago now, I broke my foot in three places. I was I had a root canal on July 16th, and in the first thing in the morning, and it went great. I mean, no pain, nothing. It was wonderful. And then in the afternoon, I was at the Starbucks waiting to go pick up my daughter from work, and my head was still just that little tiny bit hazy, not bad enough to not drive, but bad enough that I wasn't paying attention where I was standing. And I was standing at the edge of the sidewalk, and then suddenly, poof, both ankles go forward, and I am down on the ground,
Woo, you would have thought Goliath had fallen. And on the right hand side, there was, you know, that concrete thing in front of where, um, hey, Crystal, I'm glad you're here. That concrete thing in front of where you park before you hit the sidewalk. Well, my right foot tripped over one of those, which was only a few inches away from the sidewalk. So my right foot, I broke in 3 places. My fifth metatarsal, which is the bone that comes along the side for your pinky bone, for your pinky toe. Then the fibula, which is the ankle bone here, it broke. And then there was an avulsion fracture. I have paint on my arms. There was an avulsion fracture on kind of the top of my foot, which means that a ligament was pulled hard enough that it actually pulled bone away. Doesn't that sound like fun? So I've been walking without a cast for about 2.5 weeks, and I've been wearing braces. And I've been walking without braces around the house for the last 3 days or so. And my physiotherapist says, yep, that's fine. Go without your braces around the house as much as you can. Sorry, eyelash in my eye. And if I'm going out somewhere, I said, don't worry, I use a scooter. She says, that's excellent. That's exactly what you need to do. So I use the scooter. I basically just pretend I'm an invalid. Well, not pretending, I guess. I'm a bit of an invalid. When I walk, you know, like watching a 2-year-old walking, how they walk kind of full body, kind of stiff, but, you know, off balance and whatever. That's me right now because I can't bend my feet in a fluid fashion. So it's a little tough to be able to get my balance and, oh, huzzah. What can I say? There are some very, very unfortunate things that have happened lately. So I'm just going to take a quick peek here. I have not yet heard from Sammy. And I hope everything's okay for him. But that's okay. You'll just listen to me. And this is not my biggest fear. It's second to my biggest fear. I don't know what my biggest fear would be. Nah. I have no problem talking to a group of people. Where I have a problem is talking alone. That's why I like to have conversations on this channel, because it's almost as if I don't think that I'm fascinating enough to listen to. Although I know, no, I'm kidding. That's a very real fear for me. So speaking of fear, let's take a look at these coping skills. This is the Wheel of Coping Skills. If you'd like a copy of this, I can email it to you. And you can email me at myotherskeeperis@gmail.com. So here is the Wheel of Coping Skills. And if I take a look at fear, when you look at fear, it is stressed, exposed, worried, afraid, scared, or anxious. Let's read that again. With fear, you are stressed, exposed, worried, afraid, scared, or anxious. Scared and afraid, they have separately. That's very fascinating to me, because I normally would put those two right beside each other, like right in the same spot. I normally wouldn't separate them out into two separate categories. But if you're stressed, one way to cope, it looks like maybe the best way to cope is to journal. I'm not generally a journaler. And I know people keep saying, oh, you write your emotions down, you write it down, and you get it all out there, and then you just can forget about it. I'm good at forgetting things right then and there. Um, so I'm not really a worrier. Excuse me, I have something in my mouth. Okay. I'm not really a worrier. So I get stressed, that's for sure. Feeling exposed. And I think that's the closest to what I feel when I'm not able to have a conversation with an actual person on my channel. I'm going to change this banner so that it is a scrolling, and that would make it smaller. There we go. So that makes it smaller. Okay. I guess I feel exposed. I feel like people are going to reject me. And I've been affirmed for years that I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, I am enough. And yet, somewhere in my brain, because of how I grew up, um, sometimes subtle ways, it was in my family. Yes, I can just picture that I'm talking to Crystal. Absolutely. Crystal has a really bad headache right now, so she's not in the backstage with me like she frequently is. And she's just going to be able to stick around as much as she can. But yeah, although, Crystal, when you're right here, I can just actually hear you talking too, but that's okay. Um, but when I was a kid, we moved around a lot. And I learned that people everywhere are the same, but people everywhere are also very different. And I learned how to make a great first impression, but I had a hard time maintaining friendships, etc., because we moved around so much. So it was very much, okay, we're done here. Yep, let's pick up, let's move here, put in roots here, roots here, and we would start it all over again. Sometimes it was a year or less. Sometimes it was as much as 4 years. Yeah, 3.5 to 4 years was about as long as we were ever anywhere. I love that I have lived in my current house for 22 years. I love that. My children have roots. My children have a space where they can say, yep, that's my backyard. That's where I fell and hurt myself. That's where this person did that. That's where this person did that. And for good or bad, they can look around and say, yeah, this is where I come from. I can do that with lots of different places, though. I can look up at Sexsmith, Alberta. I can look at Kelowna, BC. I can look at little teeny weeny French speaking towns. I can look at cities where I've lived over on the East Coast, where one of my children were born. Just I can look at all of these different places and say, yeah, that's where this happened. That's where that happened. But when I'm doing this, when I'm talking to you and I'm alone, I feel exposed. And so it says to listen to music. So maybe when we're done here, I'll listen to some music. If I listen to music right now, we could get copyright stricken and this could go absolutely nowhere. But that's okay. I don't mind. Worried. If you're worried, distract yourself. I'm not a worrier. I have complex, undifferentiated anxiety disorder. And that means that I don't have social anxiety. I have no problem being around people. I don't have, what are some of the other anxieties, Crystal? Social anxiety, personal worry about, this is going to happen, that's going to happen, worry about the future, that kind of thing. I don't worry about that. That doesn't bother me. I know that there's a plan and I may not have that plan, but I know it's there and I know who holds it. I do have features of PTSD, and I can say features of generalized anxiety disorder. That's right, GAD. And I don't have that because I don't worry. And that's something, because I was saying generalized anxiety for the longest time, and my psychiatrist, um, she said, no, you don't have that. What's MAD? I don't know. Anyway, so I don't tend to worry. Um, so distracting myself, I still do that anyways, which is very easy because I have ADHD. Major anxiety disorder. Oh, okay. Yes, I do have major undifferentiated. So all of the different kinds put together, anxiety disorder. Um, if you're afraid, if you're afraid, socialize. Isn't that what we do here? We get connected. We talk to each other. We learn about each other. We discover each other's strengths and weaknesses and how we can support each other. At least I hope that's what we do. That's what I want to do with this channel. I'd like to be able to do that. I hear my phone buzzing. I'm wondering if it is anybody I need to talk to, like perhaps a Sam. Nope. Okay. I don't know what happened to Sam. He was good to go yesterday. So anyway, yes, with Crystal, because of her CPTSD, her worry isn't about what will happen, it's worrying and stressing about what did happen. And again, I don't tend to worry about that. When I say tend to, I mean, yeah, it happens, it comes up. There are days when I'm paralyzed, but they're rare. And I am so grateful that I've been able to let go to the point where I don't have to worry about it. Yeah, if you're scared, deep breathing. So afraid, socialize. Scared, like, the jump scare, deep breathing. That helps. Because when you're scared, you forget to breathe. And then you pass out, and then your body breathes for you, and you're not scared anymore. You're just passed out. And if you're anxious, the 5 senses. So what are the 5 senses? Sight, smell, touch, taste, and feel. So those are the 5 senses. Strangely enough, or not strangely enough, when you have schizophrenia or when you have any sort of psychotic disorder, a hallucination can affect any one of those 5 senses. With my disorder, I have bipolar type 2. With my disorder, I have had hallucinations in all of those 5 senses, every one of them. Sight, I will look and I will just see something go out of the side of my eye, and I turn and like somebody should be there, and they're not. I used to be very, very afraid of the dark because I'd be walking and I would see shadows. Like, we're talking in a place with no trees around. That I would see shadows flying at my face. And in my brain, those were demons. I don't know whether they were or not. I don't know. But what I do know is I still carry a flashlight. I do what I can to mitigate the problem so that the fear isn't there. So sight, taste. My favorite hallucination that I ever had. A long time ago, my husband and I went out for Chinese food, and you know how you order a bunch of dishes? One that we ordered was lemon chicken. And we tasted it, and I'm like, honey, what's this taste like to you? And he's like, oh, this is really good lemon chicken. I was having the sweetest, richest milk chocolate you've had in your entire life. He got no more chicken. So I've had a taste hallucination. Smell. I've smelled things that aren't there, like oatmeal, toast. For some reason, I hallucinate breakfast. I don't know why. And feeling, even still, I will feel like there's bugs on my skin. And I look down and I just have to look and see, yep, no bugs. And the sensation disappears. I have to physically see that there's nothing there. Rarely I'll have like a fly land on me or something like that. But I mean, I will feel that, but there won't be anything there. So, I just have to look. Yep, nope, we're good. It's all done. So those are the five senses. I've had hallucinations in all of them. I don't have schizophrenia. I know while the hallucination is happening that it's a hallucination. That's the difference between what I experience and somebody going through a heavy psychotic event would be going through. So again, if there's anything you want to talk about, give me a shout. We can absolutely, commiserate on medications. I take a lot of them. Guilt. Now, guilt is something that I do tend to, I don't know if you can see my cursor, but it's up at the top in the yellow. Guilt is one that I do tend to feel more frequently. The question is, am I ashamed or is it shame? Again, those two are so similar. I would normally have kept them together. Is it grief? Is it blame? Is it remorse or regret? What is it for you that that gives you the guilt? Do you feel ashamed that you have done something, that you have allowed something to happen that shouldn't have? Have you been actively doing something that you know shouldn't, and therefore you feel shame? So self-compassion and reframing your thoughts. What does it mean to reframe thoughts? Well, guilt says I did something wrong, where shame says I am something wrong. Okay, so what they're saying though, Crystal, is that guilt encompasses the ashamed and shame and grief and blame, etc., etc., etc. And I would push back here a little bit as well, and I would say that grief does not belong with guilt. It belongs in the blue category with sad. But I think they had to separate it into equally parsed pieces. But Crystal, you're right. I did something wrong, whereas I am something wrong. Guilt, the way I look at it spiritually, is guilt comes from Satan. You've done something wrong. Oh, this is the definition from one of your favorite authors. Okay, excellent. Guilt, false guilt. Guilt for something that you've already dealt with, something you're already forgiven for. That's false guilt. And that comes from Satan. And it simply is, you did this wrong, therefore you'll always do this wrong, therefore you're an awful person. And that's where Crystal would be on the same page as me, this author. So shame says I am something wrong. That type of guilt, that type of I am not enough. I have hurt too many people. I've done too many things wrong. There's no way anybody could love me because I just am blah, 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 right? Whereas being convicted of doing something wrong is what God does. And God says, This is what you've done wrong. Let's fix it. This is what you've done wrong. Let's fix it. And then once we have fixed it, we're done. It's all good. It's whether we choose to allow evil to come back and shame us, to guilt us through something. Shame to me says it was my fault. Absolutely. Absolutely. And that is what evil is saying to you. That's what Satan is saying to you. That's not God. And I don't know. I'm not a professional. I don't know how to talk somebody around it, or I don't know how to do what a professional would be able to do. Crystal is very fortunate. She has had some excellent therapists over the years, and she has come a long way from when we reconnected a couple years ago. And man, just watching her grow has been such a pleasure. So disgust. If you feel disgust, it's like you're smelling something bad. Ugh, yuck. Do you dislike? Are you appalled? Are you repulsed? Ooh, that's a word. Are you displeased? Are you offended? Or are you sickened? Those are a lot of very strong emotions in there. Do you just dislike something? So you identify the source. Then either you get rid of it or you learn to deal with it. You're appalled. Practice tolerance. That's a hard thing to do. That's a really, really hard thing to do for a lot of people. I have friends who their tolerance is very low for certain things. A lot of years ago, I had a friend who was proud that he was such a tolerant kind of guy, and he would, he had no problem with somebody's gender, somebody's sexuality, somebody's life choices, somebody's whether they were a street person or not, whether they were rich or not. He had no problem with any social situation you could have. That was wonderful. I had no problem with that. Then it happened to be one evening we were going to go to a movie. Hey, Brian, nice to see you. I'm glad you're here. We were going to go to a movie, and I said, oh, let's go watch this movie. He's like, no, that's a chick flick. I don't want to watch that. I'm like, you don't want to watch it because it's romantic? Yeah. Don't you like romance? Ah, come on. It's not manly. I don't want to see that. And I looked at him, and I'm like, well, that's very intolerant of you. And he looked at me. He's like, no, it's not. Yeah. Are you tolerating? Are you been working on homework? Okay, Brian. Awesome. I bet you've got a great update for us for October. I'm looking forward to it. By the way, I am planning on you in October, just so you know. So being tolerant, it also doesn't mean you have to accept. Okay? I tolerate things, but I may not accept what they are. What are some things? I tolerate eating cooked carrots. Do not like it at all, but I'll tolerate them. Yeah, it tastes bad to me. It feels bad in my mouth. I don't really want it, but I'll tolerate it because frequently it's the polite thing to do. Especially if I'm eating out. If I'm eating at home, I just don't cook them. I have raw. But tolerating doesn't mean you have to agree. Tolerating means that person at work who is absolutely annoying, who just and won't shut up. I've worked with a few of them. It's like, yep, I will sit and I will listen until I can no longer tolerate. And then I will politely say, okay, I'm sorry, I need to go do something else. It's been great talking to you. And then you extricate yourself from the situation. Or something people cannot tolerate, for example, is gossip. You will not even tolerate it. Then remove yourself from the situation as gently as possible. You don't have to make a fuss. You just gently say, okay, guys, I'm not going to be part of this, and walk away. You don't have to call them down. You don't have to make them feel like they're only this big, right? That's not your job. Your job is to take care of yourself. We're in disgust. Repulsed. Ooh. What is something that is repulsive? Lynn, hi. Can't stay in the hospital. Thank you for sharing your live. Oh, you're very welcome. Look forward to getting to know you better. I'm looking forward to getting to know you better too, Lynn. I'm sorry you're in the hospital. I have been there recently. It sucketh. So when you have a chance, just watch the replay, even if it's just like 5 minutes at a time between when you can see somebody medically. Thank you so much for coming. I appreciate it. Brian as well. Nothing wrong with chick flicks. Notting Hill is one of Brian's favorite movies. Awesome. Unpleasantness repulses me. And there's a lot of it going on in the world right now. Absolutely. Unpleasantness, just when you say repulse, is it a physical feeling? Is it an emotional feeling? What does repulse mean to you? If you're displeased, yeah, there are things that displease me. It displeases me that a friend of mine smokes marijuana on the regular. No, Brian, it's not you. You're a grown man. You can do it. But this person I'm thinking of is young. It displeases me that they do this, but they're still a young adult. That's up to them. All I can say is, you know what? You know how I feel about it, but you also know how I feel about you, and I love you, right? The up here in the corner, you can't really see it. I'm going to change my background so perhaps you can see what it says in the corner. If someone can hate for no reason, I can love for the same no reason. I choose to love you instead of choosing to hate. Let's leave it on this. This might be a better one, or yeah, no, I think this might be the better. Nope. This is definitely the better background for that. So it displeases me, but my displeasure isn't bigger than my love for that person. Or sickened. What sickens you? What is it that the dark brown one made it pop? Ooh. So should we do that one? It makes it pop, but I can't read the text at the top. That makes it tougher for me to see. And it's all about me. Anyways, so something that sickens you. Something that sickens me is violence. Something that sickens me is mistreating children or anything more helpless than you. That just right in my gut just literally makes me want to puke. So what do I do with that? Gain acceptance. There are some things that you should not accept. I absolutely 100% agree with that. There are certain things we should never accept. People being a-holes makes you sick. Yep, that's very fair. That's very, very fair. I'm gonna have a drink of my beverage. Yep. Naughty Brian. So let's take a look at the next one is envy. Okay, now I'm going to push back on this one pretty hard. Envy and jealousy are the opposite. They're not the same thing. They have been used the same way for so many years. Somebody will say, oh, I'm so jealous of that person. They have what I want. No, you envy that person or you covet, you want what they have. That's different. Jealousy is what I have with my husband, but it's healthy. It's healthy because I have a relationship with my husband that I guard with my life. No one's going to break it. No one's going to take it. It's mine. That I jealously guard that relationship. I jealously guard my children. They are important to me. They are already mine. I jealously guard. But I also have to remember, bad jealousy is destructive. You're right. Bad jealousy is destructive. Yes. What's an example of that, Brian? Tell me an example of bad jealousy. With my older daughter, she has a boyfriend. I can jealously have my child, but I have to allow her to be a grown-up adult and have her own life, right? That's where it starts to be, in my opinion, or at least for my life, that would become bad jealousy. Is where I inappropriately say, I won't let go. If it is appropriate to let go, even my love will never let go, ever, ever, ever. But my hold over her life has had to change over the years, right? From little itty bitty baby to grown-up adult, things had to change. Spite. Ooh, spite. What is spite? If you're being, okay, Brian says, being afraid that your partner is messing around on you, being insecure in your role in that relationship. Absolutely. I saw a lot of that with my mom and her mistakes, including his dad. You're right. That is when it can be very destructive. Inappropriate jealousy, I think, is what I would classify that specifically. Bad, inappropriate is definitely bad in pretty much any situation. But inappropriate or misguided jealousy, misguided ownership, or the feeling of ownership. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, that's what I agree. Absolutely, Brian. Very good example. Thank you. Spite. If you do something just because it'll get under their skin and not in a fun way, right? I'll come to my husband and I'll tickle him right under the ribs over here, and it just, he hates it, but it's also not such a bad thing that he actually gets mad. If he was actually going to get mad and I would actually do it to make him mad, that's spiteful. That's something that you do just because you want to be a bag. You don't want to even sort of make something better. Yeah, being spiteful is one of the ways to be a major a-hole. Absolutely. And being spiteful, there's no excuse. There's absolutely no excuse to do it whatsoever. There have been people in my life who have hurt me very, very, very badly. I gave up spite. Recently, I gave up spite for one particular guy in particular. Not me, my brain is mush. Um, but I realized it's not the way this guy treated me that I hate or that I hated. I hated the way I allowed myself to be treated. That's reframing. In shame, under guilt, shame, reframe thoughts. I no longer had shame when it came to the relationship I had with this person. I had to reframe that to say, I had this responsibility. And yeah, I was a kid, but I still had some responsibility because I still had a grown up enough brain to make certain choices. When you're little, you don't have that brain. If you grow up in a situation, you can't make that choice because it's all you know. I grew up in the situation I felt bad in, but I also grew up knowing that it was bad, not thinking, what's wrong with this? I allowed myself and I hated myself. So that type of, where am I here? Spite, gain perspective. I had to change my perspective. And as soon as I changed my perspective, I actually ran into that person a few weeks ago. It's like, you know, I no longer feel that instant urge to reach out and touch someone. I no longer felt spiteful. I no longer felt like I deserved to hurt this person somehow. That literally just went away. Reframing your thought, gaining perspective. That's something that you can do. Sometimes you need help doing it. Maybe some ideas how to do it. That's where professionals would come in. But I think it's an important thing that we need to do. Okay, desire. Okay, so desire and covet. To desire something isn't a bad thing necessarily. It isn't. It really isn't. It's when you covet it, that's when it's inappropriate. Have a lovely evening, Lynn. Good to see you. Going to MRI took my phone off me. Oh, yeah. We'll be in touch. Excellent. I look forward to talking to you again soon. But desiring and coveting is like one step above the other, right? We've got jealousy. We've got envy, which are the opposite. Envy is wanting something you don't have. Jealousy is guarding something that does already belong to you. And like Brian had mentioned, inappropriate jealousy is something that can be very harmful to yourself and to others. So you need to check yourself. You need to make sure that it's appropriate jealousy. Coveting, I used that word earlier. That's a word that you will find most frequently in the Bible or in the type of English that William Shakespeare would have written. Covet is to want something that is not yours to the extent that you are willing to hurt somebody or do something wrong in order to get it. Now, having said that, if I look at my neighbor and they have a garden that is just gorgeous, I'm not coveting the garden because I can't make it mine. I'm envious that they have a better garden than me. If I look at another woman's husband and say, that husband is better than mine, she doesn't deserve him, I deserve him, I want him, I'm not going to be, you make yourself unhappy with what you've got when you're coveting. So I am not going to appreciate my husband because that husband is kinder, that husband is handsomer, that husband does yada, 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 yada. Meanwhile, you don't see what happens in their kitchen when you're not there. You don't see the way he drives her absolutely batty because of ba ba da ba da ba da ba da. I tend to look at things in relationship styles. So if I'm going to covet, I will covet is to deeply desire something that you don't already have to the exclusion of something that you do have. Okay? So I want that person's car so badly, I will never be happy with my own car. Yeah, my car is a piece of crap. Or how he treats her behind closed doors. Absolutely, Crystal, you're absolutely right. But if that person's car, I'm not going to be satisfied with mine. It's not a new car. It has been in an accident. It has rust on it. It has 380 some thousand kilometers on it, so about 500,000 miles. No, 300 miles or bigger. So about 180 something or 200,000 miles. Don't ask me to math. Anyway, so those types of things, I am not going to be satisfied with my car, which gets me around just fine. There's nothing really, really wrong with it, but I want that car so bad I could just taste it. That's coveting. And need. Ooh, I don't like that this one's in this category at all. I don't. Because a need, if it is a real need, that's not negative. Babies cry, not because they're bad, not because they are just, they want your attention and therefore they're going to get spoiled. No, they cry because they need, physically, they need your touch. Babies who don't get held, who don't get hugged, who don't get physical touch will die. It's what happens. They've actually seen studies or done studies. Can't imagine doing that study. That would repulse me. That would sicken me. I would be appalled. So that's the whole disgust line in there. Yeah, absolutely. But a need is something that has to be taken care of, or something bad will happen. That's a need. A want is when something doesn't happen and you want it to happen. Sorry. Okay, no. That you want to happen, but you don't need it. I really want a cookie. Man, I want a cookie so bad I can taste it. My tummy hurts. I need a cookie. No, you need food. You don't need it to be a cookie. You need maybe a peanut butter sandwich. You need something, but it doesn't have to be a cookie. Let's go down to anger. We're just going to go through this paper. I have another paper here that we'll talk about another time, okay? And this is physically what happens when you are feeling these emotions. So I have that as well. So let's look at anger, the red one. Mad. If you're mad, take a break. If somebody's mad and they want to take a break, let them. Please let them. Let them take a step back so that they can regroup and come back more calmly. It's not that they're trying to cut you off. It is that they are trying to cut off their own anger. If you're annoyed, oh man, that person just drives me crazy. Urgh, I can't believe they did that again. Urgh. Annoyed. Is it going to hurt you? No, physically it won't hurt you. Is it annoying? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So grounding. What does that mean to you? What does grounding mean to you? If I'm annoyed, it's like, oh, do I just then plant my feet and then think about where my feet are on the ground? Maybe. Do I just take a deep breath? Maybe. It's kind of like a distraction thing, I think. Anger is a secondary emotion. When you are angry, it usually means there's something underneath. Most of the time when I'm angry, it's because I'm sad. Absolutely. Yep. The two can go hand in hand. Absolutely. Frequently when I'm angry, it's because I'm overtired and I don't have proper control over my emotions. So I will just get angry, and I know that I am angry, but it's not your fault. And you didn't do it to me, so I'm going to remove myself from the situation till I can calm down and not get mad at you because you did nothing wrong. That's what I used to do with my kids. I found out many years later that my children, or my one daughter, saw it as abandonment. Rather than, like, when I was yelling and screaming, it's like, guys, you've done nothing wrong. I need to go for a timeout. And I would do that so that I wouldn't abuse my kids. My daughter was only 3 or 4, and she saw mommy going away as abandonment. So again, it's a matter of perspective, right? I would never, ever want to make my child feel abandoned. Ever. But that's the way an itty bitty mind works. Annoyed, grounding, frustrated, rip up paper. Oh, I love that one. Rip up paper. Yes. Frustrated, just you have that energy. It's like, I can't believe I can't. Just newspapers, they don't have those anymore. But find something like old bills. This is why you save your bills for 7 years. It's nothing to do with taxes. It has everything to do with frustration. Hey, Phoenix, how you doing? Glad to see ya. So if you are frustrated, rip up paper. Do something destructive in a way that's not going to destroy something. If you have a tree that's dead, cut it down. Tired, can you send me that wheel, please? Absolutely. Yes, I can absolutely send you this wheel. So when you are feeling frustrated, a lot of times frustration comes from a sense of impotence, lack of power over something. That happens a lot when somebody is frustrated. It's an impotence or a lack of power. That's why tearing up paper, having the control over that stupid little piece of paper, that's there. If you have a knife that you can whittle with, find a stick, whittle away. Why do you think old men just are so peaceful? Because they sit and they cut this stick to absolutely nothing, and it's not going to, has no purpose except just to say, okay, yep, there's that stick. Let's grab another. They don't get frustrated because they're destroying something at all times. Just thought of that. Anyway, irritated. Evaluate your feelings. If you're irritated, just not at the, it's at the edge of the brain of frustrated. That irritation is just an unease in my whole skin. It's like, oh, I can't believe that. Just, oh, not angry enough to be frustrated, but I'm not calm enough to just let it go. I'm just irritated. So evaluate your feelings. Okay, how am I actually feeling? Why am I feeling like this? Why am I allowing this to bother me so much? Am I hungry? Am I tired? Am I lonely? There's a 4-letter acronym, and I cannot remember what it is. Tired, alone, something. No, tired, lonely. Oh, I'll have to look it up. Anyways, so why are you irritated? Evaluate your emotions. Why is it that you are feeling this way? Why is this bothering you to such an extent? Hate. Hate is powerful. Oh, man. Hate. When I was talking about that shame that I allowed myself to feel for so many years, I truly thought that I hated this person. In my brain, wouldn't have hurt my feelings a little whit had this person passed away from the earth. Not even a little. Wouldn't have bothered me even sorta. Not sure I would cheer because, still human life and whatever, yada, yada, yada. But hate. What's the thing for that one? Uncover true feelings. There we go. If you are hating something or someone, like I did, figure out what the source of that was. Is it because they had abused you and therefore you have a legitimate grievance against them? Then yeah, hate may not be displaced. In my situation, I thought this person had done me wrong for so many years. And they had. But I also had to look at my own responsibility in that situation. And I no longer hate that person. I actually kind of wouldn't mind getting to know that person. I don't want to be judged for what I was like 30-something years ago. I don't think I should continue to judge that person for the same thing. And resentful. Resentment and hate go hand in hand. Wait and think. Don't dwell on it. Don't take this resentment and pick it apart and saying, fine, freaked out, insecure, neurotic, and emotional. Absolutely. Yep, that's exactly right. So if you're feeling resentful, resentment and hate only eats away at you. The other party, the other person, the other thing, the other situation, nothing's going to happen to it. Then you just get more angry and frustrated and all of these anger, disgust type of things. Now, I'm not saying that anger is necessarily negative. I used to get mad at myself for being mad because when I was growing up, being mad was not okay because that was a bad feeling. No, God got mad. God had a righteous anger. So it's not so much, and he hates sin. So it's not so much that these are always bad. Sometimes they are properly placed. But all of these solutions, take a break, rip up paper, evaluate your feelings, uncover true feelings, wait and think. Those are all what you do when you're angry. And yeah, you might be righteously angry or rightly angry. But sometimes you need to be rightly angry and then take yourself out of the situation or try to correct what's wrong. That may be something that has to happen as well. Sometimes you have to step in and correct what is wrong. Sometimes you are the one who's wrong. Don't be afraid to admit that too. You will become a much better person if you look at a situation and you realize that you are the wrong one, and then you take the steps to change it. That's huge. So sad. This is the last section we'll go through here. So are you uneasy? Just kind of, oh, man, I just can't. Get out into nature. If you don't have a lot of nature around you, go sit on your front step and look at the sky. That's nature. Sometimes that's all you can do. Oh, hey, Echo. Glad to see you. If you're feeling gloomy, like just kind of this sense of malaise, this whole sense of, oh, nothing good is happening in my life. I have absolutely nothing worth being happy about. You're Eeyore, basically. Laugh. That sounds weird, doesn't it? Just laugh. It's actually one of the things my first psychologist told me to do. When I was feeling down and depressed, oh, good, I'm glad she's down for the night. Nice to know. When I was feeling depressed, not actively crying or just angry or whatever, in my deep depression, I just had this overall sense of dread and gloom and all of that. And my doctor said, okay, or not my doctor, my therapist said, okay, I want you to go see a funny movie, watch a funny TV show, have something input into your brain that you don't have to worry about making it, but input it into your brain. And even though you're not feeling the chuckle, the chemicals in your brain start to change. And then after a while, like it might take, depends on how deep the depression is. But if that gloom has just been something that's been going on for a day or two, you know, that might really help really fairly quickly. Input something legitimately funny. Now, if you find horror movies funny, that's not what they're talking about. Because, yeah, it's funny, but there's so much innately scary about it that's your brain doesn't see that as being funny anymore. Mr. Bean, The Three Stooges, Three's Company, Cheers. I'm trying to think of old sitcoms that are easy to find on YouTube. But yeah, sitcoms, just stuff with a lot of physical comedy that doesn't need a lot of words. Your brain will process it and starts to change the chemicals. It makes a huge difference. If you're sad and you're hurt, oh, I just feel so hurt. I feel so like injured about this. Oh, I can't believe this. Why did they do that? Pets. Not everybody can do that. Not everybody has a pet. Some people are too allergic to do anything with that. But look at cat videos on Facebook. Go to YouTube. Look at funny horse videos. There's a lot of them and they're funny. Again, that's part of the laugh, right? If you can't afford to go to a movie, oh, hey, Mandy, glad to see you. If you can't afford to go to a movie, do something at home on your computer if you have one. If you can't afford to do something on your computer, if you don't have a computer, maybe you have a cell phone. Maybe you have a cell phone and you don't have a data plan. I don't know your situation. But what I do know is this. Laughing and putting something in your brain that would make you laugh, whether or not you feel it here, makes a huge difference. Depressed or lonely, talk. Just talk about it. Talk to anyone. Find a person on a bus. Just say, hey, how's life? See, here where I live in Saskatchewan, you're not considered psychotic if you do that. If I was living in, say, Los Angeles, somebody might arrest me for harassment. I don't know what it would be. Anyway, but know your environment. But talk. Even if you're talking to yourself, talk. We are not created to be alone. We are created to be in community. And that's why we have things like this channel. That's why we have things like Kaleidoscope of Happiness. That's Echo's channel. A kaleidoscope is a group of butterflies. Did you know that? That is so cool. When you think of a kaleidoscope, you think of all these broken bits of glass. And yeah, there's the mirror ball image, but so's a kaleidoscope. And I think I prefer the kaleidoscope because it's always changing. It's always different. You will never find exactly two images that are exactly the same. I love that. I love that. Depressed, exercise. Yeah, do that. Okay. If you're down, if you're just feeling like, ugh, I can't, to me that goes along with gloomy, lonely, if I'm just down, the general malaise of low grade depression, the clouds are just a little too heavy, the sun's just a little too bright because it's hurting your eyes. It's not bright and sunny, it's hurting my eyes, right? If you can't see something good, self-care. Get some lotion. Rub some lotion on your hands. Feel how soft your skin will get. Echo feels so good after walking or exercising. Absolutely. The feel-good hormones kick right in. Yep. For me, something that is not on this list of coping skills, I suppose these are skills. These are independent skills, is a cuddle. There are times when I just have to say to my husband, honey, assume the position, which just means lay on your back on the bed so I can just kind of cuddle right in there and hang on for dear life. And yeah, sometimes I smell his armpits, but he smells good. He uses good deodorant. Anyway, for me, part of my coping skills, part of my self-care is to find another person, to laugh, to talk, get out in nature, self-care. Have a bath if that's your thing. If that's not your thing, maybe just soak your feet. If that's not your thing, maybe, I don't know, run around and frolic. So that's what we're going to talk about for tonight. Thank you, everybody, for coming to the chat. Good to see you. A lot more people showed up close to what would be 6 o'clock my time. I may have to go back to that. I went to 5 o'clock my time so that I'd be able to avoid my husband working, or like my husband's home time. But it looks like that may be a harder time for my friends to come and join me. So I'm going to have to reassess possibly what it is that we are going to do. So the wheel of coping skills. Next week, or maybe next month, I don't know, we will talk about this. The body sensations and what they mean, what the behavior would be. So say, for example, you have a comfortable body sensation. That's down here. There we go. Cold body. What's happening when your body's cold? What's happening when your body is hot? What's happening when your body is just kind of a right medium temperature? What does it mean? So we will talk about that another time. Let's do that in a month, just to kind of say, okay, yeah, we're going to break this up, and we're going to talk about that in a month. So thank you, everybody, for coming. Thank you for visiting. Thank you for your input. It makes my life a whole lot easier. I'll talk to y'all later, and I love you so much. If a person can choose to hate for no reason, I can choose to love for the same no reason. And I choose to love you. Have an awesome evening. Bye.
Some come with scars, some come with dreams. In this circle, we're more than what we seem. No judgment here, just voices to be heard. Through laughter, through the tears, we find every word. I'm my brother's keeper, I'm my sister's guide. Standing here together, with nothing left to hide. We lift each other up when the world feels torn apart. We're keepers of the flame, we're the healers of the heart.